This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post, coming to you from the Fort Hall School of Government in Nairobi, Kenya. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you may have missed this morning, but we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 30th of November, 2021, and I am 2J.
I am JM.
And I am GK. In case you missed the headlines, here they are. In the Daily Nation, race for Raila running mate. In the Standard, a kidnapper's paradise. In the Star, how we escaped from committee. And in the People Daily, Oka calls crisis talks over molds.
Interesting.
So I'll begin with the Daily Nation.
Yeah.
And they wrote about the race for Raila running mate. And the reality is that picking a deputy president is really based on short-term electoral calculations than on some long-term governance consideration. So an aide to US Vice President Hubert Humphrey once said, "Once the election is over, the vice president's usefulness is over. He's like the second stage of a rocket. He's damn important going into orbit, but he's always thrown off into to burn into the atmosphere." So how should Raila pick his running mate? One, Rao should aim to balance his ticket. Traditionally, the choice of running mate is based on the ethnic vote base that they bring. But here are other factors. If the presidential candidate is an outsider, pick a running mate who gives them insider status. If old, pick young. And if the candidate is young, pick someone older and more tempered with experience.
That's right.
Balance in our local context means kama wewe ni hustler. You add a running mate who speaks to a more sophisticated form of capital. Or picking a running mate who is a strong rival in their own right. And here, Martha Karua comes to mind. Balancing the ticket also means picking a running mate that increases voter turnout.
Yep.
So the classic example here is Trump and Pence. Trump needed Pence to cement the evangelical vote, And Pence was a member of the Republican Governors Association, and so he had good relationships with them. Initially, Trump had wanted Chris Christie because Christie was simply more fun. It wasn't going to work. And then there's the partnership model, picking a DP based on their ability to be partners in governing.
Yeah.
Now, this was a big fail for Uhuru and RUTO. But a classic working example is one of Obama and Biden. Now, they must be a credible successor. They must work well together in office.
Yes.
And a running mate must be strategically important, vote-wise, but also be able to marshal the support of his donors. Now, in his memoir, A Promised Land, Obama says he selected Biden because of political experience and personal acumen. Biden had been in the Senate for 35 years by 2008 and understood the mechanics of government. Now, for instance, if Raila is to pick PK, is it because Moranga right now is strategically important? So it doesn't matter that it's PK, it's what PK represents. Or is it his record of effective stewardship? Hopefully not just that he is better looking. So picking a running mate should be a clinical process.
Yeah.
I hear there's some candidates who will give the position to the running mate who will pay the most money for this position. This will not be useful in the long run. Those are my quick, short thoughts
food
on
for
that.
thought, yeah.
Yes.
I like that breakdown. So today we know that the 8th State of the Nation took place. And as this was happening, I was reminded of a quote that GK gave us a few weeks ago. It's attributed to Groucho Marx, who says, "Who are you going to believe, me or your own eyes?" Now, this quote speaks to how the public often exists in a state of confusion, which is exploited for someone else's benefit. In this case, a manipulator seeks to distort reality and convince the gullible public of a truth that does not exist. This is also known as gaslighting. So think Trump in 2016, Putin invading Crimea, Hitler and the Jews, or Bush and the Iraq War. The objective was to make the public question their own reality, while some funny monkey business was happening in the background.
Yeah.
Now, the reason that this quote came to mind is because of what Uhuru Kenyatta has achieved in the last 8 years. Every time he addresses the nation, he speaks of transformation.
Yeah.
To date, his administration has delivered a feat of double-double. Double the roads, double the growth, double the infrastructure, double the markets. And the best way to describe the past 8 years is a breaking of the mold. As the president told us today, we have hit records and goals for the first time in our nation's history. In fact, now our capital is home to a road in the air.
Amen.
Fact. But all of this is at odds with his rogue deputy.
Yeah.
A man who chooses to campaign instead of working, and who has made it his agenda to undermine the work of his boss. So in my view, William Ruto is politicking on this very quote. Who are you going to believe, me or your own eyes? He wants us to believe him, but our eyes see the truth.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that Uhuru Kenyatta removed all campaigning tools that Ruto could possibly use. Ruto cannot say he'll construct roads. Uhuru already did that. He can't say he'll bring reforms to agriculture. Uhuru already did that. And he can't even promise basics like education and healthcare because Uhuru already did that. So William Ruto's vision for Kenya is simply William Ruto. This is his answer to the 2022 question. But what country needs is a promise of continuity. Who is this person that will ensure the gains of the past 8 years will be secured and will continue?
Yeah.
In our view, I think this is what we need to answer before we head to the polls.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'd like to comment on Raila and his climbing of the mountain. He is slowly but surely climbing the mountain, and he's softening the hearts of Kikuyus. And how do you explain this phenomenon? Here are 3 reasons. Number 1, Kikuyus are shrewd. We are better off dealing with the devil we know than the angel we don't. Now, many of you think that Ruto is the devil we know. But truth be told, dear Kikuyus, we know Raila more than we know Ruto. Why? Do recall that during the years of the Grand Coalition government, we had a taste of the Raila presidency. What is worth of note is that in these years, Raila proved 3 critical things to the Kikuyu nation.
Yeah.
The first thing Baba showed Kikuyus is that he was a keeper of promises. As soon as he formed government, he right away settled his debts with all his Kikuyu friends and allies. Every single one of them, all the way up from Jimmy Wanjigi to Gujiri Wabogo, who was then an intern at ODM. Deep down, Raila respects Kikuyus and Kikuyu capital, and he doesn't see them as a threat to his presidency.
Yeah.
The second thing Baba showed us is that Kikuyus and Luos complement each other.
Yeah.
They do not compete with each other. Let me put it in parabolic terms. The most important social currency amongst Kikuyus is money, and the pursuit of it. The most important social currency amongst Luos is knowledge and the pursuit of it. Raila, like he did in the Grand Coalition years, will give us a government of intellectual heavyweights, not a government of deal makers and brokers. The third thing Baba showed us that is that he is harmless. Raila is a typical politician of modest ambition who cares more about outward appearance, the day-to-day craft of politics and the running of government. And Mzee Kibaki seemed to have known this. And he realized the best way to contain Raila is to give him some trappings of power, a big office, and some notable portfolios on the executive. And it's that easy. Raila is that easy to please. And that's the kind of man we need for president. And that is why Raila is the devil we prefer in 2022. But lastly, 2 additional reasons why Kikuyus are warming up to Raila. The second is his style of romance. We are in a period of political courtship. Kikuyus know their worth and they want to be properly romanced. Now, no one can beat Baba when it comes to the art of political seduction. No one can beat Jaluos at this end, Jaluo men. As opposed to Ruto, who has been coercing the mountain into loving him by saying things like, you have a debt that you owe me, it's time to return the favor or else. Raila has told Kikuyus, let bygones be bygones. Like Jomo and Jaramogi, we can work together. We can be equal partners in the next government. Finally, the third reason why Kikuyus are warming up to Raila is their open-mindedness. When the facts change, Kikuyus will change their mind. As Professor Mutahinguni says, the only crime Raila Odinga committed over the last 3 elections was running against a Kikuyu. And now that no Kikuyu is running for president, Kikuyus have no problem with Raila. And that is why they are embracing him little by little.
I like that.
I think Prof said the other day that if the mountain was straight and flat,
Yeah.
it would be impossible to climb, right? The mountain is rocky and it's difficult. So Baba
Yeah.
just has to keep struggling, step by step, and he'll get to the top.
He's nearly there. So we have a 3-part criteria that we use to break down the headlines. We ask ourselves, is it topical or speculative, repetitive or groundbreaking, thoughtful, or just plain lazy? I think the headlines were pretty good.
Who are these kidnappers and where is this paradise?
Paradise. That was very interesting and actually drew my eye. And then I also was leaning towards what I spoke about, race for Raila, running mate. Who do we give it to between the Daily Nation and I think the Standard?
I would give it to the Daily Nation. I like that they highlighted our, favorite 3 front runners, Martha
Yes.
Karua, PK, and Lee Kinyanjui.
Some choice architecture there. So there you have it. The Daily Nation gives us our winning headline. On to the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country, where we also have a 3-part criteria. We ask ourselves, is it humorous or dry? Is it satirical or pessimistic? And is it effective or just plain lazy?
Yes.
Can we begin with the star, perhaps?
Yeah, sure. So here we have a cartoon of Raila Odinga and William Ruto, prominently displayed sitting on opposite ends of the weighing scale. And the One Kenya Alliance principals are watching closely by their side. And Mudavadi and Wetangula are staring quite intensely at Ruto, while Kalonzo and Gideon are staring also intensely at Raila. And their tagline says, Oka still weighing its options. Well, you know what? I think, to be honest, they are leaning more towards Raila.
Of course.
And that's the way it's going to go.
The scale should tip.
Yeah. And the same principles you just told us, JM. The devil you know rather than the angel
Yes,
you don't.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
So-
it. Yeah.
Done.
So we
Decent
park
cartoon.
that.
Yes, let's park that one.
Let's
Humorous.
see what is in the Standard.
In the Standard, we have a COVID-related cartoon. So we have the world, which is sitting there on a beach sunbathing. And to keep him safe, he has next to him a life buoy, which is vaccines, and the sunscreen of sanitizer. And in front of him is the ocean, but there's a huge wave called the COVID-19 umpteenth wave.
Yeah.
And here, I think they're referencing the new variant, Omicron. And I think that the cartoon is suggesting that these tools we have, the sanitizers and the vaccines, may not be sufficient to save us from this new, I think, 3rd or 4th wave or variant.
That we're in.
Yeah, I think what they've said, and maybe this is what the Daily Nation will speak to, is this COVID nationalism, how the West is hoarding
It is
cartoons.
true.
Yeah.
In fact, let's describe the Daily Nation.
Yeah.
So we have a big, fat, greedy white man there holding syringes, a hefty number of vaccines, while Africa has changed to this Omicron variant, this new variant that has come out. And you can see we're in a lose-lose situation here, right? We're the first to experience lockdowns when a new variant shows up, even though we should be sort of commending African scientists for being the first to,
to reveal that
find
they
these
found,
markers and then, find these new variants, but then you get punished. So I think Africa just needs to look out for itself at this point.
And if anything, the Muzungus in the West need to realize that this vaccine nationalism is only going to perpetuate the pandemic.
Yeah.
If we can't have free travel of goods, of people, and all that kind of stuff because we don't have access to vaccines, they pay the price as well.
Well, thank God this government is also putting up a COVAX facility, so soon enough we'll be able to vaccinate our own.
Thank you, Uhuru. Yeah.
Who do we give a winning cartoon, guys?
I quite like the commentary of the Daily Nation.
Daily Nation?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like the Daily Nation as well. So there you have it, guys. We have both a winning headline and a winning cartoon from the Daily Nation. And as we have heard from Uhuru Kenyatta's penultimate State of the Nation address, I want to leave you with this. Your pride for your country should not come after your country becomes great. Your country becomes great because of your pride in it. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. Find us on GoTV, Pan Feature, and Star Times. Find us on Twitter. Let's engage.